And tonight we're going to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. But before we do that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And come on over here and kick it with your girl. So we're just going to get right into it and we just going to talk about it, y'all. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I hope everyone had a great Mother's Day. If you are a mother or if you act as a mother any kind. I hope that you enjoyed it or you enjoyed it with your mother. Yeah. So they started this episode off with Fletch and Martell. Bald-headed ass Martell is back, y'all, and he back being messy. I guess that's all he can do. So, like I said, we finally see Martell bald-headed ass. So he's sitting down talking to Chris, and Chris basically tells him about the conversation that he had with Marceau and how Marceau felt like he was supposed to answer to him, which y'all know how I feel about that. I've already said that was crazy as hell. Chris said that the last time that they had a business conversation and sat down and talked about business was 2 years ago. So him thinking that Chris was entitled to come tell him about his situation with his license is crazy as hell. But y'all know some people, they does that. And maybe I thought about this. Maybe it's because they think they are the they are the OGs of the show, or they feel like they the couple that was up next after Nell and Martell. So maybe that's why Marceau is so delusional. But Chris was like, he let him know that it wasn't that, and that he had no obligation to tell him. Martell is happy about that. Martell is like, Marceau and Maurice, if you don't overtalk them, if you don't put them in their place, basically they are going to keep going. And I think we know that. I think that's how all 4 of the Scotts are. So Martell is happy that Chris put Marceau in his place, child. So basically Chris tell Martell about Nell's new business. She has a new storefront called Posh and Prissy. Y'all remember her talking about that, saying that her grandmother, I believe, gave it that name, used to call her that. And so I guess she's going to be selling stuff. Martell is low-key hating, in my opinion, when he started, saying about all this stuff y'all got going on. Y'all got all this stuff going on. But that's a lot on your plate. How you gonna do that? I feel like when people start doing it, they hate us. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. I feel like when a person tries to talk negativity into your plan and basically say, oh, that I don't think, basically he's saying it, he's not saying it, but he's saying it in so many words that y'all got all this going on. Ain't no way that that's going to work out. And me personally, I don't like when people do shit like that, because I feel like you're coming off as a hater. He also didn't say that he would have thought that Chris would have put some thought into what they said they were going to do, which what he said that they would do, like have a suit store or something, like a suit line or something like that, because both of them be dressing in their suits. I do think that's a good idea, but Martell, he's going to put his wife first, as he should. And maybe if you would have took note of that and you would have did that, you wouldn't be on here now knee-deep in everybody else's business trying to stay on the show, because don't nobody want to film with your ass, okay? Okay. They also talk about Kayla and basically Chris expressing how he really don't want Kayla to date Twan. Y'all, I'm really starting to think this Kayla and Twan thing is low-key a storyline. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Fletch, reasoning, he's like, basically he's been married, he has kids. Not only that, he feel like, I think one of his kids is a teenager, and we know Kayla is young. I believe she's still in her early 20s. So I get what he's saying. He want his daughter to be with somebody who don't have all that baggage. And like I said before, it's nothing wrong with dating, a person with children. But I did agree with Martell that it would be better if he would have, talked to Destiny versus Kayla, just because Destiny has been divorced. Destiny has a child. They kind of got more in common. So I understood what Chris was saying, but at the same time, I feel like Twan is full of shit. And like I said, we'll get into that. And low key, I hate to say this, but I kind of agree with Martell about the situation with Nell. However, I do feel like this is why you don't discuss your relationship business with people, especially people like Martell. Like I said, Martell is low key a hater. And even if he do know, like, you know, what's going on, it's just some stuff that should be between you and your wife. That's how I feel personally. Martell basically said that he knew that Nell is basically always saying I, and he's like that he would have felt like Chris would have put his business before Nell, but he's like, you know, I guess that's what men do. And it's like, Martell, like I just said previously, if you would have been putting your family and your wife first, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. Let's be clear. But Chris do let it be known, you know, he is the one who purchased the daycare. I think he said he purchased it for like 125,000, 150,000, so they can have sole ownership of the daycare. And we know Nell is a I type of person, and she says Chris is on payroll and this and that. And Martell is just like, you know, he's bringing stuff in y'all household. But Nell is saying I. And like I said, I low-key agree with Martell on that. Now that's it. But on that situation, I do agree with him because y'all are a team. It's supposed to be we. I get he has his own brokerage company. I get all of that. But I just feel like when you're in a marriage or you're in a relationship and y'all have established things together and it's a partnership, you know, you got to work on the same page. But I think Chris just know his wife and he play his role, but he know what he's doing on the back end. However, I feel like Chris, you know, listening to Martell, he kind of do feel away. And this is like a person like Martell, though, is the wrong person to talk to because he is a person who is still bitter because shit went sour for him, even though he was the damn reason. But he's one of them people that don't take full accountability for the shit that went sour and basically don't really want to see anybody else's, or he want to tell people what they supposed to be doing in their relationship. And sir, you couldn't keep your relationship here. You got the mistress and you still not in a relationship with her for real. So let's be clear. So like I said, I do agree that it should be a partnership. If we purchase this together, this is ours. But let them handle it. I do feel like Nell needs to stop doing that on camera though. Like, you know, respect your man. And we see Trish and her friend. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about Trish. Like I keep saying, I feel like we're going through the same stuff over and over again. Basically, Trish said that she told Ken that she spent the block. Her friend is like, you know, the Scotts were in her business. They were really asking questions about, you know, the situation of her spinning the block. She said that she told Ken over the phone. Her friend told her that she was a coward for telling him over the phone. Like I said before in previous reviews or whatever, I feel like that they are only solely together now for the show. And if they are still together, they're just playing in our face. I feel like steady talking about them is a waste of time because it's the same shit. Did you spin the block or didn't spin the block? Trish, we know she be lying. She's awkward and she's only gonna tell half truth. I feel like I've said plenty of times. I still don't feel like she's telling the whole truth about her and Martell, but that's just me. Allegedly. So it's just like it's one of those situations that I don't care to keep elaborating on because it's the same old every time. Nell, Destiny, and Martell meet up. And like I said just a few minutes ago, I felt like Martell speaking for Chris is okay, whatever. But I do feel like what Martell is saying is right in a sense. You know, Chris might do want his flowers. I feel like it's kind of hard for Nell to say that. You know, Chris has saved her. Chris has did this for her and that for her. We don't know the ins and outs of their whole relationship. And I think that's the problem. And this is why I don't like to get into people's relationship business. Like in my personal life, people relationship business, I don't be trying to get in the middle of it because I don't like nobody in mine and I don't put nobody in mine. So I feel like I don't try to get into people's business. If my homegirl or somebody come to me and they tell me something, I'll be a listening ear. And if you want my opinion and stuff, I'm going to tell you. Like I said before, I'm going to tell you. And if we real close and I feel like it's bullshit, I'll tell you that too. But I just feel like, Martell, who are you to tell her that she needs to appreciate Chris? Like, and I feel like if Chris feels this way, he needs to be the one to tell his wife that, not an outside person. Now, thankfully, for now anyway, because we know Nell will come back on her yelling and mad about something. We know how she get down. But for now, she did take it in well. She did say, Chris has helped her, and Chris has did his one too, and he's, put her in position. But that the daycare is his, just like she said, the brokerage. I mean, the daycare is hers, just like she says the brokerage is his. At the end of the day, excuse me, like I said, they are a marriage. It should be we. We do hear a lot of I from Nell, but at the same time, we're on the outside looking in. We don't know their relationship, their whole dynamic, what's going on within their marriage. Just because Martell know them personally doesn't mean he knows everything. I just feel like some stuff, like I said, Chris should be the one to tell his wife how he feel. And like I said, I understand what Martell is saying. I just don't feel like it's Martell's place. So do y'all think Destiny's feeling a certain type of way because Nell is not like blindly taking her aside? Miss Nell did bring up that Tisha walked towards Destiny, and Destiny was like, and she wasn't gonna do nothing. I walked basically towards her, and she, walked right past her, and she didn't do nothing. I don't think now one of them was really gonna do nothing for real, but it's just funny to me, like how all this stuff is coming full circle, and I think it's because each people are seeing each other for who they are, because it's easy when people gang up on one person because they're trying to get one person out, aka Mel. It was easier for them to be friends. Now that Mel removed herself, the true color is that they never really liked each other. We all know Tisha been a mess. Let's be clear. I feel like Mel was loyal to a lot of these people. I feel like Destiny is cool. I do feel like Destiny is stepping up. I do feel like her and Miss Nell is stepping up, and they may become the stars of the show. But I am no fool, and I still be feeling like Destiny full of shit, because it's like you have all this animosity and stuff. And for a good reason, because Tisha be on bullshit. But it's funny how, you're saying certain stuff, and it's like you didn't mad because she called you a hoe and this and that, but you didn't see nothing wrong with the comment that you made about Mel them trying to groom you. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, it's like stuff like that makes me look at people's character, because it's like you lied then. So it's like, yeah, you went to it with Tisha. Most of the people don't like Tisha, so it's easy for people to take Destiny's side, but it's like Destiny ain't squeaky clean either. I just feel like, baby, let's see how it go. I see a lot of people saying that Miss Nell isn't Destiny's friend, and I think that it's at a point now, like I said, they all see each other for who they are. They realize this is a job. Nell probably said that, she basically had Destiny back to a certain extent, and then Destiny basically had Miss Nell back to a certain extent. Both of them still cool with the Scotts in their own terms. Now, like I said, now that Destiny's beefing with the Scotts, it's kind of like she want to make sure Miss Nell is on her side. But when Miss Nell was beefing with the Scotts, it's just like the same rhetoric. So we see the Fletcher's family meeting, and basically this is the bulk of the episode. So Miss Nell didn't call the family meeting because she want to get down to the bottom of what's going on with Twan and Kayla. They don't know just yet that Twan and Destiny is going to be there. So Twan and Destiny come. Everybody's surprised. Kayla looking like she feel a certain type of way. Like I said, I don't know if this is a storyline. It could be. Like I said before, I didn't like that Twan asked Destiny, did she hear about the rumor? And then he tried to act like he didn't know how Destiny found out, or Destiny, it was just like a rumor. That lets me know, like I said before, that he's full of shit. Twan is full of shit. Twan might just want camera time. So he's dating whoever. I feel like maybe he felt like it wasn't going so good with Destiny, so he had to get something going on with Kayla. Who knows? And Kayla is feeling a certain type of way, but she is a little tipsy too. So maybe that could be it. Kayla is mad because she said Destiny bumped her, which Destiny did bump her. Now, I don't know if Destiny meant it to be rude in a rude fashion, but she did bump her. Kayla's trying to check her temperature. It's just like I said, it's just a whole bunch of what is this? Like, what are we doing? Then not only that, they are saying Lance is their god brother. Well, that's how they introduced him. I'm convinced that, like I said, I mean not Lance, Twan is the god brother. I'm convinced that Twan and Lance were just cool. Twan wanted to be on the show, and this was their way of getting him on the show. That's what I'm convinced. You're not my god brother if you just came around the family a couple of years ago. You're not my god brother if you didn't know that Kayla was my sister. You're not my god brother if I just, like I said, they just met. Like, you're not their god brother. You and Lance were cool. Y'all are friends or whatever the case is. And you wanted to be on the show. And I feel like this is something that they conjured up to bring him on the show. And now it's a go with Destiny Fest. Kayla is basically saying how she, you know, they are in her business and she don't want them in her business. Lance is like, well, at least the spotlight ain't on me, Chris, or Kiki no more. So Kayla feels the way about that. I just feel like maybe they all lying to, you know, to have a place on the show. I don't know. But it's just like Twan is full of shit all the way around. When Chris talked to Twan, he basically said that Kayla know what it is, basically in a whole lot of words, that we ain't doing nothing. We chilling. We might be messing around. He didn't say that, but that's kind of how he was, you know, leading it to be. Chris don't feel good about it. Chris is like, you know, he feel like they've been out on multiple dates, and he want to know basically what Twan plan is with Kayla. And Twan don't have a plan. He's single basically, and Kayla know what it is. And this is the thing. And I understand, like, if this is real, I understand Chris, because basically you're older and you're gonna come in and play with her head, and this is a situation right here. And this is one of the many possible situations if it is true. But like I keep saying, I just don't think it's true, y'all. I really don't. Then it's low-key giving that Destiny told Nell because she really wanted to know what it was between Twan and Kayla when he told her that. Like I said, Twan told her that to see what she knew. It's just, y'all, I did not like this situation for real. I felt like Miss Nell, this is a show. So I ain't even tripping about them being messy, because this is a show and it's for our entertainment. But like I said, if all this is true, I just think Twan is full of shit. At the end of the day, ain't no need to be trying to check Destiny, because, excuse me, Destiny grown, she can date whoever. Twan grown, he can date whoever. Kayla grown, she can date whoever. But this is where discernment come into play. Kayla, you feel some type of way about Destiny. You're like, you don't want to date him if he's dating Destiny. Kayla basically felt the way when she was like, they just chilling. And when Twan said they was just chilling, and she was like, we just what? So that lets me know, if this is real, Kayla is deep in and Twan is playing in her face. And it's like, girl, let him go. He is not, like, to me personally, he is not all that how some of y'all be trying to make it seem like, oh, he's so fine and he okay. But he not all that to be doing all this, so that's just me personally. Miss Nell and Destiny sit down to talk, and Destiny feels away, which, you know, rightfully so. I can't say that she shouldn't feel away, but I do feel like some of Destiny's, you know, stuff is like, she felt because Miss Nell wouldn't agree with her about the bump to Kayla, because she said she didn't see it. And Destiny kind of kept saying, you know, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. Miss Nell is like, she didn't see it. It's like, it's one of those things, Destiny, you gotta know, no matter how cool you and Miss Nell are, how cool you think y'all are, or whatever it is, she's not gonna go against her daughter for you. And she shouldn't, you know. If Kayla is wrong, she can say Kayla is wrong, but she just said that she didn't see it. She didn't know. They ran the taste back. Destiny did indeed bump Kayla. I can't say if it was a friendly bump or not. A lot of people saying it's a friendly bump, but if we've already talked, which I do think, let me rephrase that. I do think that it was one of those bumps where it was like, let me bump you and look like this some bullshit type bump. But if Kayla is really with this man, then you gotta know that she gonna take it away. But on the back end, I do feel like, Nell, your kids are grown. They're gonna do what they want to do. I understand that I understand as a mother, you want your kids to go out and you want them to do great things. I understand you and Chris concerned with Kayla because you do feel like Kayla is better than Twan. I get that, and I understand that. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to let them see for themselves. Now, hopefully she see for herself and she don't bring no babies, or no extra stuff, with her. But she see for herself. I have mixed emotion about this situation. I don't feel like Destiny had to be there. I don't, but I do feel like Destiny brought it to Nell. She know how Nell is. Nell is one of them people that once you tell them stuff, especially about her golden child, once you tell them stuff, she's gonna fly off the deep end. You see how she acted when you and Lance was doing whatever y'all was doing. So of course she's really gonna be more concerned with her daughter. You get what I'm saying? I get Destiny's side in it. Like I said, I see both sides. I feel like it's unrealistic to think that Miss Nell is going to take your side, Destiny. She's going to be 10 toes down with her daughter. And it could come out that, you were just trying to be genuine and that you were trying to, see what it is. But that doesn't mean she's going to take your side, because at the end of the day, that's her child. Like, that's just one of those situations. It's clear that Kayla does feel a way towards Destiny. Like I said, if this is all real, it's clear that Kayla feels a way. But at the same time, Kayla, baby, this man is playing in your face. This man literally asked Destiny, did she hear any rumors? Then claimed that she heard rumors. That's a red flag right there. Like, that's a big red flag. The other red flags, before we even get to that red flag, is that he's way older than you. He got a divorce, and he has kids. And I ain't gonna say those are red flags, because stuff happens. Those aren't really red flags. But like I said previously, if she's in her early 20s and stuff, baby, live your life. Quit trying to settle down. Especially with a already made family and you don't have no kids at all. Like, girl, trust me, enjoy yourself. I just feel like Nell could have apologized for making her feel uncomfortable, but we know Nell gonna do the most. Destiny basically didn't like the tone and stuff that Miss Nell had and the things that Miss Nell was saying. So instead of her getting into it with Miss Nell, she just got up and walked off. And I can respect that. Just because she probably had that respect for Nell, she didn't want to get into it with her. So she got up and walked off, and that's cool. But I just feel like, Destiny, you put yourself in this situation. You wanted to know, when you took it back to Nell and Lance, and you had to know Nell was gonna go say something to her daughter. You had to know that. So this is what you get. At the end of the day, though, this was actually a pretty good, decent episode. I know a lot of y'all are like, Nell is this and Nell is that. They are bringing actual TV, stuff that we want to see. We do not want to see the Scotts go back and forth about the same shit, or Trish go back and forth about the same shit every episode. We see on the next episode, Martell is over there proving Destiny a point about him not taking up for her, because he fits to scold her about getting into it with Destiny, child. So it's the same shit, the same rhetoric. So like I said, this was a pretty decent episode. I still feel like Twan is full of shit. I feel like Twan, Lance, Will, they all full of shit. Huntsville is small. They are, these men who got a little popularity, and then, like I said, Lance is handsome, got a little popularity, then he's on this show, y'all know that make it go up even higher. So Twan, he want a piece of that, Will want a piece of that, and I just feel like they all just kind of, they all be full of shit. Me personally, I've been seeing that. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up Love and Marriage Huntsville, child. I'm going to quit rambling and I'm going to let y'all go. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.